Okay, looking at the second day of the week on solving one-step equations, as I said, we're going to be doing this the whole week to make sure we have the one-step equations down, because once we get into two-step equations, everything kind of starts working like a roller coaster and getting out of control. And I want to make sure you've got your fundamentals before we do that. So yesterday we learned how to solve using modeling. We learned that the variable is represented by a cup, which is a V. I said to imagine it as a snow cone cup because there's an unknown amount of items in it. We also learned that constants, which are just regular numbers, are represented by a number of plus or minus signs. We then learned that we could create what we call zero pairs. Remember, zero pairs is anytime a negative and a positive are put together that they cancel out. And we use those zero pairs to move the signs away from the cup to find out how much is in the actual cup itself. And we ended by translating our decisions back to algebra. So work through the following problems with me now. I believe this is on your worksheet, and it is. Yes, it is. So work through these for your notes so you can keep them and have them and kind of bring it back to memory, and so that we can review our work from yesterday. So what we did yesterday in the end was we took x minus 3 and we modeled it with a cup and 3 negatives. Equals meant draw a wall, if you remember, and then 2 represented 2 pluses. Again, what we saw yesterday was that our goal was to get the cup alone and that we needed to get these 3 negatives out of the way. The way we get those 3 negatives out of the way is by adding 3 positives, but remember what we learned is that if we add 3 to the left, we also have to add 3 to the right. We then crossed out any of our zero pairs, which was any plus or minus signs that were together on one side. The cup came down. There are no zero pairs over here, but there are 5 pluses, which meant that our answer is positive 5. But what we also had to do on this yesterday was actually do the work in algebra. So x minus 3 equals 2. I told you it's okay to go ahead and draw that wall in there to visualize your two sides. To get x alone, we have to move this negative 3, which is a constant, and we do that by adding a positive 3 to both sides. The x would come down, negative 3, positive 3 cancel out because they're opposites. Equals comes down, and 2 plus 3 is 5, which again shows you that our answer is correct. Again, raise your hand if there are any issues on this so we can pause the video and discuss whatever it is that you need to discuss so you can understand it. If you allow anything that you're missing to just kind of sit, after a couple of days you're going to be way behind and you're not going to be able to really catch up without coming in for extra assistance. The second one says negative 4, which means put 4 negatives. Equals, which means put a wall. 2, which is 2 pluses, plus x, which would be a cup. This time the cup is on the right side with 2 pluses, and again the way we get rid of 2 pluses is by adding 2 negatives, but we have to add them to both sides. Zero pairs are both over here. Because there are no pluses and minuses on one side, we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives and a cup, which obviously means the answer is negative 6, but let's just check to make sure using algebra over here. So back on our algebra side, equal sign means draw a wall through it. I have an x over here, but there's a 2 with it. This is a positive 2 that we must move by using a negative 2. Negative 4 or negative 2, if you don't know what it makes, again just type in negative 4 plus negative 2. You see your answer is negative 6, which is what we thought it was. Equals, those two things cancel out, and x comes down. I want you to pay attention to the fact I'm not trying to figure out what the answer is. I am just letting the algebra go ahead and trim away all the stuff and let us see what the actual answer is on its own. Today what we're going to do is look at what happens when our problem has more than one cup. We know how to model a regular x, but how do we model the following terms? I believe this is also on your sheet, so go ahead and fill these out. 4x is not a 4. This is not a constant because it has an x on it. This is actually what we call a coefficient, but it means that there are 4 cups in this problem, so you would model this with 4 cups, or 4 v's as you would say. If you had 2x, that means that there are 2 unknown amounts, which means that there are 2 cups. That is how you will model 2x. 5x again means that there are 5 unknown amounts, and so you will show that with 5 v's. So that is how you model those 3 amounts. Solving today's problems are just going to require just a little bit of common sense. Actually, most of algebra requires just a bit of common sense, and the rest of it just is some persistence. You got to get that quitter's mentality out of your system, otherwise you probably won't do well. So let's look at our problems as far as what our problems will be about today. And again, I'm going to go ahead and work these out here. I don't think these are on your sheet. They are not. So you can go ahead and wait for a second, because I believe, yeah, these are just watchers. So 4x equals 12, what happens is we will take this 4x. We're not even going to worry about the algebra right now. 4x equals 12 means that is 4 cups. Equals, which means there's a wall. And then 12 means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the common sense is this. If there are 4 people, 4 kids at the house, and there are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things to give away that are all the same, every kid is going to want the same amount. So the question is, if there are 12 things to put into 4 cups, how much should go into each cup? Well, what you can do is go ahead and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So I think it should be 3 things in that cup. Because again, 3 here, 6, 9, 12 should be it. You should also notice that really all we're doing is taking the 12 and dividing it by 4 to get our answer of 3, because anytime you're sharing something evenly, you are dividing. Again, that is where the common sense comes in, that you can kind of imagine if there are 4 cups and 12 things, you can use your common sense to kind of figure out what that answer is. Here, negative 8 is equal to 2x. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a wall. And again, 2x means 2 cups. There is no movement here because the cups are already alone, and so the idea is to figure out what 1 cup equals. Well, if there are 8 things for 2 cups, that means that each cup should get, I believe, 4 things, because there would be 4 for cup 1, 4 for cup 2. That would make my 8. So that means your answer is negative 4 equals x. 6 equals 3x. Again, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equals 3x would be 3 cups. So now you've got 3 cups with 6 things. And again, it's easy enough to realize that if 6 things for 3 cups, every cup should get 2 items. Alright? So if you think about it, we're simply using division to find the answer. For example, if you're talking about 10 items into 5 cups, you just do 10 divided by 5, which is 2 per cup. If you're talking about 15 items going into 3 cups, you just do 15 divided by 3, which is 5. If you're talking about 40 items going into 10 cups, you do 40 divided by 10, which is 4. So that is how we actually found our answer, by using logic, common sense, and thinking about it. So take a moment to work on the modeling practice problems in the next section. Be sure to communicate and ask questions. We'll go over those answers in a few minutes. Again, there are 4 of those questions for you to work on. So again, just take a moment, raise your hand to ask about what's going on. I'll even move this back up here so you can see what we did. And I'll pause the video now, and we'll come around and make sure you got what's going on. Looking at these answers, negative or 2x equals negative 6 should have been 2 cups, a wall, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. Because the cups are already by themselves, we would break this down to say 6 divided by 2 is 1, 2, 3. So it should have been x equals negative 3. 8 equals 4x should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A wall, which is your equals, and then 4 cups. Again, there are 4 unknown amounts over here with 8 chips, or 8 pluses. And so because the cups are again alone, we can just go ahead and use logic to figure out, use common sense to figure out how much is in each cup. There are 8 things for 4 cups. 8 divided by 4 is 2, which means that 2 is equal to the number for x. Negative 12 equals 3x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A wall, 3 cups. Because the cups are alone, we can come right on down to our answer. If there are 12 things for 3 cups, that is the same as 12 divided by 3, which is 4. And again, feel free to use your calculator if you have to. Nobody's saying you have to be a whiz right now, although the less you use your calculator, the better you're going to be. But if you're not good with numbers yet, don't miss problems just because you're trying to be too proud for yourself. 5x equals 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cups. Equals means a wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pluses. Because the cups are alone, we can go straight to the answer. And of course, if there are 5 things for 5 cups, there should only be one thing per cup. By the way, this would be negative 4 equals x up there. But anyway, that is the general idea of what you should have had. Again, please be sure to ask about anything up there so we can discuss it. So just, again, make sure you've got that understood. You know there's going to be a quiz at the end of the day, and this obviously represents something you have to know how to do. We will not look at the algebraic side of today's work yet. Instead, what we're going to do is just write down some problems similar to what we're going to see on your Math XL homework. This portion of the lesson should be copied exactly as it shows up in the video. The format is important for you when you go to your computers so you understand what it's asking you to do. On your computers, your question is going to say solve using algebra and model each step. So there's going to be boxes over here for algebra. There's going to be boxes over here for modeling. And again, we're going to work this out in both ways like we did yesterday. If you see the ones that are reviewed from yesterday, you will come over here and do your x, which is a cup, minus 3, which is 3 negatives. That is your natural wall. Over here, you just put down your 4 negatives. Again, there will be boxes there for you to put those answers into. As we solve this using modeling, remember we want to get rid of those 3 negatives, and you'll simply put 3 pluses in that box, 3 pluses in that box. We understand that that cancels out, and what comes down here is a v, and that what comes down here is 1 negative. That is what you will show. Again, you won't be able to cross them out on the computer, but that's what you're going to write down. You might even want to do the work on your sheet of paper before you translate it over. But as long as you understand how to do it on the computer, that's all that matters, because this is what your quiz is based off of. Over here, this box is used to show what you're doing to get rid of this negative 3, which is to put plus 3 in both of those boxes. To recognize that when that happens, x comes down, negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So again, that's what your boxes will look like. You'll put down what you're doing to move the number in both of those spots. You'll bring down your x, you'll bring down your answer for that, and that is all. So again, this is just getting used to the format that the computer is going to have so you're not confused when it all pops up there. The second one, again, negative 1 equals 2 plus x. So negative 1 means put a negative here, 2, which means 2 pluses, and the x, which means we're going to put our cup there. Again, it has to match the order. You cannot put v and then 2 pluses. It has to match 2 plus x. Since the x is over here, we want to get rid of the 2 pluses. Again, your next box, you'll put 2 negatives on both of these parts. Of course, we understand those will cancel. Those don't cancel. They bring down 3 negatives and the cup, and that would be our stopping point for the modeling box. Over here, what we're going to do is recognize that since this is split and we want to get rid of this 2, which is positive, we're going to put negative 2 on both sides. We understand negative 1 and negative 2 make negative 3, and that x will come down over here. So again, that is what your boxes are going to look like as you go. The last one isn't really going to be that major because you're going to notice there are no boxes in those 2 parts. So don't worry about crossing them out, but you'll notice there's nothing in the middle of those boxes, but I had to keep the same format. But you'll still do it the same. Negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2x, which is 2 cups. You will simply go straight down here and say that if 8 things are going for 2 cups, then 1 cup must have 4 negatives in it. And then you'll simply translate that answer over here, which is negative 4 is equal to x. So as long as you're asking questions on this, you should be okay. I don't think it should be too frustrating. Just keep in mind we are going to be finishing the day with a quick exit pass that counts as a quiz grade. Remember that we are doing this so we can begin to increase our quiz average and increase our quarter grade. So please now log into Math XL on your computers and begin working on the assignment titled Chapter 2.1 Modeling, because it is a modeling assignment. You should be working on this to finish it, but as long as you are working hard, I'll be satisfied with your efforts. If you're putting your head down, if you're trying to go to sleep, and if you're just staring at your computer and at the same question for 5 to 10 minutes, there's probably going to be an issue. But again, I hope that you are still trying to work hard to save yourselves. Other than that, good luck, and let's begin working on this.